What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR today. We're going to be speculating MSTR, BTC, just running through possible scenarios, a bunch of what ifs. So don't take any of this as trading advice or financial advice. We're just having fun with this and looking to see what could potentially happen here on MSTR and Bitcoin. So first thing we're going to go over is what we've already talked about plenty of times, which is our flagpoles, playing out like that. So we've had this first flagpole here. You can see that it pretty much almost called this move to the T. Depends on where you take it from, but pretty close. And then when you take that one and you measure it here, you get that next potential move, which is what we're currently going through. Obviously, it takes time to play out. As you can see, we kind of stair-stepped here until the last 3 weeks. So I would imagine that the same thing will happen potentially. Hopefully it happens. If you've been on this channel for some time, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. But for anybody who's new, I like to draw the bull flags so everybody can see it. But we'll be looking at something like this potentially if we were to line it up, and we could see a parabolic move like that, which would line up with the flagpoles, which would hit this target that we're hoping for. Right now, we kind of just been stair-stepping, which is exactly in line with where we thought things would go. We're kind of creating like a mini channel upward, and then eventually we'll break out of it with the exponential move. But this is how things could potentially play out if they play out exactly the same, which they probably won't. As you can see, these two legs look completely different. This had a insane weekly candle here and a second one, and this one was a little bit different. It played out a little more. You had more wicks on the top as you ran up. The next thing we're going to go through is Fibonacci pulls, using the Fibonacci retracement upside down, so it's essentially a fib extension. If you take it to the bottom, depends on which bottom you take it to. You can take it all the way down there. You have the 2618, 2272, and if you move that to this leg here for this flagpole, we did this first pull. It essentially called this, minus this wick. Depends on where you take it from, but we'll do it there. And that's how I got that gray box up there. So potentially we could see that 2618, 2272, exactly how we saw from this pull here, and we got this move here. So anticipating something like that. Another thing too is overlaying the interest rates. You hear a lot of people say that we rally during the when the interest rates come down. But like when you actually take a look at it, we really rally during the pauses. The moments of pause is usually our biggest rally. As you can see here, we're only going to really take from 2020 and on because that's when they started accumulating Bitcoin. We can go over this on Bitcoin as well. But you can see the largest rallies we've had were during pausing moments. So we did have a little bit of a run up during an increase. But you can also start to say, as the market's forward looking, they're already pricing in a pause as price is moving because it's forward looking, 3 months out and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. But yeah, during the pause, you can see we get very, very large moves. So, and if you overlay Bitcoin with it, you kind of see the same concept. We did have a rally up during this increase, but it was a slow, steady increase. It wasn't a dramatic rate hike like this one. Yeah, you can see during the pauses, we get some of our largest moves. As you can see here, we rallied tremendously during pauses. And I think potentially, depending on how long this pause is drawn out for, we could get a nice rally. Of course, it does not have to play out like that. It's just something to think about. Like I said, this is speculation. The M2 Global Liquidity Index. The reason I like to use the global liquidity index because it can add additional things. But I'm going to use the M2 global liquidity because it's easier to line up. It's harder to line up the other one because it doesn't have this little bar on the side that can make it line up better. So I never really overlay MSTR with global liquidity, but when you look here and you do the 56-day offset on the daily, it kind of lines up. Honestly, I mean, it lines up when I look here from January 2024 and on. Outside of here, it's kind of you know, weird looking. Doesn't really line up too well. But if we're looking from here on, it lines up pretty well with that 56-day offset. And of course, you know, 56 days because MSTR likes to front run Bitcoin. But this looks pretty good. I wouldn't take these numbers exact, but you know, it could be somewhere in that region. It doesn't have to play out exact, but it looks like it's pretty spot on for the most part. I would like this one to line up a little bit more, but if I stretch this one out, then this one's going to be much higher than this one. So, but we could be seeing something like that, and maybe this is the blow off top towards the end. And you know, we're still kind of stair stepping, which is exactly what global liquidity is doing. And it's showing a large move up, minor pullback, large move up. So let's see, showing 3 large moves, and that could be that you know, the last 3 weeks or something like that that we keep speaking about, which would kind of line up to, because you have I don't know, maybe the first week and a half in July, and then you know, all the way out to, yeah, it's about 3 weeks from this point on to this peak here. Of course, you have this too. So maybe we run for another, you know, 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. Depends on how aggressive it is. Depends on what Bitcoin's doing, but maybe we see a move like that. And that also brings us to the Ballistic acceleration model. We're currently undervalued right now because price is kind of just trending sideways. Once we get aggressive moves to the upside, this will probably deviate to the upside. But for us to hit that, you know, target up there, you know, of 1200, 1300, BTC is going to have to be sitting at like 150 or something like that. And then you have to take an account for, you know, deviation. So we'll just say 150 for example, sitting at 1200. If we deviate, you know, currently how we can see we deviated 7% to the downside. So if we take 7% off, we're sitting at 1116. And if we deviate to the upside, then we're sitting at 1284. So we'll see how things go. Always expect it to deviate to the upside or downside. When it's continuously bull candles, it should be deviating to the upside. Once we get sideways chop and a little bit of downward movement, could potentially deviate to the downside. So maybe we see something like this. I'm not too sure how accurate this drawing is. I'm trying to have it, you know, play out pretty spot on, but it's kind of hard to tell what is, how high and low it should go. But I feel like that's pretty solid. And these targets actually line up pretty well with the Fibonacci's, and I'm going to show you why I have this green line drawn out. So when you take a look here on Bitcoin, we're going to do Fib extensions. I like to use a Fibonacci retracement to do extensions, but so it's from this top here of this red candle or this red wick to the bottom here. So that's the leg, and we pull it out, and you can see that 1618 was kind of the magnet. We overshot it. We went about halfway to the 2272, but overall, this is the area that we're sitting in, the 1618. We're hugging, we're above it, below it, above it, and then we pull back the key level is a 1272, and then we actually just tap the 1 level, which is the original breakout, right? And then we move up. So we're going to take it to the next one, this next flagpole from here to this spot. And what do we know? We see the same thing playing out again. We're hugging the 1618. Here, let me pull it out a little more to the side so we can see it better. We're hugging the 1618, playing around with it. We broke below the 1272, but this is mainly where price is at. And then we tap the 1, took off, just how we did over here. So what's to come? And actually, I'm gonna actually take it to, I'm actually gonna take it forward here, and then we'll see what's to come now. Do we do the exact same thing? Do we make our move up, start bouncing around here, fall here, chop, tap, quickly V-shaped recovery, and then make our next leg up? Just how we've seen in these moves here. Just something to think about. And then the reason I have this green line drawn out is because of that 1618, which I think is going to be a key level as a magnet for price to chop. I'm not saying that we're not going to overshoot. I definitely see us overshooting with some momentum. Maybe we run up to here, and then we just kind of just chop until we hit the 1272, tap here, V-shaped recovery. Speculation, of course, saying that it's going to play out exactly like this move, but in all reality, what could really happen is we get a serious move to the upside, and once you get the real momentum for the bull run, this thing will go like this and just take off. If we get serious momentum and very bullish sentiment, I could see it just taking off just like that. But you can see whenever we get a move to a previous level that was broken, you get a pretty large move. So what I'm going to show you is this line here, serious move up. Where we're currently at is identical, and then as you go, we had a level of consolidation as well, serious move up, level of consolidation here, serious move up. You can see it just happening time and time again in the bull run, and it happens consistently. I mean, it's like clockwork. You can see it just happening nonstop. Another one here. So I think we could definitely see something along the lines of that. Here. So in these bull runs, things can happen like this. And of course, this is during the same period that we're in. You know, this is essentially, this is like 2024, if you will. And then this is 2025. So, and here is the same thing. This is essentially all of 2025 if you were to compare it, because this is 17, the last year. This is 21. So let's see what happens when we do make it to that level. Are we going to get a severe move to the upside? We'll find out. And not only that, too, when you think about price targets, each leg that we've had recently, if you take it from the bottom here, it ran up about, 97% if you take it to the wick. So we'll say 96. It ran up here, 92, depending on where you take it from. If you take it from here, if you take it to this wick or to this candle, 91. If we take it all the way to the top, 108. So we're just going to say 95 to 100 for easy numbers. So what if this next leg is 95? That takes us right to that 145 mark that we're talking about, which lines up with the 1618. And if we take it up to 100, you're sitting at 150. Maybe we overshoot, we hit 109, 155, which is still above that 1618, but it's still in the area. And then we chop, fall back down, V-shaped recovery like we spoke about. But I see this playing out again the chopping V-shaped recovery, if we're just stair stepping slowly, that's the slow movement in Bitcoin, I think. If we get parabolic moves, it's gonna be like a exponential move, similar to, you know, this or this, which we obviously haven't seen yet. It's just been a nice, consistent trend. As you can see, like I'll just draw a trend line underneath it. It's a very standard, you know, angle of attack, as if you can call it that. And then if you look at this one here, look at this. This thing is literally just straight up. So you can see how steep that is, and you can see how steep this one is. It's the same concept. So these are very steep angles. So we haven't seen anything like that yet. We've just kind of just been stair stepping our way up, which isn't a bad thing. That leans more towards the right translated cycle if things stay okay in the economy. But obviously, if things go bad, then right translated cycle is thrown out the window and we'll get an early peak. Hopefully not. The best case scenario would be parabolic, sideways, everything like a parabolic move, everything in the economy holds up well. We get a right translated cycle, and then it's another parabolic move into the end of the year, December, November, something like that. That's all I have for you guys. A little bit of speculation. Like and subscribe, share with a friend, and I'll see you guys in the next one.